Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome all my friends to the show that once again gets to grill hot dogs midday on a lunch break and watch baseball. Scott, it's back, baby.
Unfortunately, I was stuck in English 1, when that game was starting, so not good times.
I did the hot dogs on opening day. I might have cut out a little early. I think the game started at 3, so I don't feel too bad about it. Kept an eye on the slack. But fired up the grill, stopped at H-E-B, got a pack of the all-beef Franks, some good buns, good vibes. Not a good game, but we'll get into that later. Scott, it just felt good to be watching baseball again. We had talked about the night before was the Giants-Yankees opener with the whole Bert Kreischer and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, we even said, hey, it was just nice to be able to watch a baseball game again. It mattered. And then the next day, right, was the opening day bonanza, and boom, here we are 7 games in.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned hot dogs. Have you ever seen Anderson Cooper eat a hot dog?
No, I don't think I have.
Well, he had Joey Chestnut come to studio, and show him, the hot dog eating ways, which he chomped down like. You know how you eat it long ways?
Mm-hmm. He went like a sandwich.
Yeah, he went like corn on the cob. It was.
That just sounds wrong.
Yeah, it looked wrong. But I did have an opening question, and this is as far away from sports as we can possibly get. So you've heard the phrase "first world problems." I'm sure.
Okay.
So I wanted to reach out and see what is your number 1 first world problem?
Slow internet or phone connection. It's got to be up there.
So, what I was thinking of is I was plugging in my iPhone for the show, and I plugged it in at about 3 or 4 o'clock. And the problem is with these new chargers, the new, I looked down and it's still at 10% at 3 hours later, because it wasn't completely engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to really jam it in there, and you have to baby that thing in order to get it.
I just switched to the magnetic one for that exact reason. I bought 2 of the magnetic ones because it kept just not going. Let me counter with another off the cuff opening question for you, Scott. What is an appropriate number of bites that it should take to eat a hot dog? Okay, because first of all, 1, that's disgusting. I don't want to see you eat a hot dog in 1 bite.
Oh God, no.
Right? 2 is wow, this guy's in a hurry. He really has to wolf this down. 3 is okay, those are kind of big bite. I feel like it's either 3 or 4. Once we get past 4, it's you're being dainty with it.
I'd say 4 to 5, depending on the size of the person. I think a child can do 5. And say, a regular person 4. If you're doing 1, I mean,
that's a child I'm taking out of it, under 14.
I'd say if you're doing 1, you're probably in the adult film industry. Just say it.
I was gonna say you have an OnlyFans. No, I mean, I think so. Would show like I don't know. I worked in the restaurant industry a long time, so I never really got lunch breaks for a large portion of my life. So like you had 10 minutes to get your food down. So I've never been someone who sits there and like quote unquote savors a meal. Like I eat my food when the food's gone, I'm done. So I could conceivably be like, I'm in a hurry. I need to eat this hot dog in like 2 bites. I could do it. I don't think I'd enjoy it. I think it'd be like a big chew, right? But I don't know, a standard a ballpark, not the thick meaty ones. I'm just talking like a standard Oscar Mayer. That's 3 bites.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, even if you have 10 minutes, how long does it take you to take 4 bites of a hot dog?
No, this is I'm not having hot dogs for lunch at my dad's restaurant. I'm just saying, like, let's say, there's a situation where you bought a hot dog and then, as soon as it's served, it's like, oh shit, there's, I gotta go. There's been an incident, right? And you don't want to do the Elaine and like bring the evidence with you of your jujubes, right? So you just fucking house that dog and then you go to the incident. That's probably a 2-bite scenario.
Yeah, I got you. I'm a 4-biter myself.
That's fair. Well, speaking of hot dogs, Scott. Well, speaking of hot dogs, let's talk some baseball because I threw some dogs on the grill for opening day. I sat back and I watched what I thought was, oh no, here we go again, right? Like the Astros, it seemed like they were, chasing and things weren't going their way. And Hunter Brown was picking at the zone and, they don't know how to use the challenges properly. And Yiner's burning them on bad pitches. It was pretty much everything that could have gone wrong for you on opening day went wrong. And I think you and I were both a little, skeptic. Then you go to the second game. We get a crazy Jordan homer. That was nice. But other than that, right, the offense through 2 games looked non-existent. And then boom, right? Like something happened and it has turned on and a switch has been flipped, Scott.
Well, I liken this to a week 1 NFL win, right? So how are you feeling about your team after a week 1 win?
Yeah.
I mean, because the problem that you have, right, is we know what the Angels are because the Angels are what the Angels have always been. Does Boston suck?
I was wondering the same thing. I don't think Boston is going to be a 90-win team. I think Boston's probably 82 to 85 wins.
I mean, what makes me feel better.
You lost Bregman and replaced him with a guy who's not as good.
Well,
right?
Yeah,
like I think, huh?
He's Durbin's over for the season.
Well, Bregman's not over the season. He homered the other day, didn't he?
Durbin is.
Oh yeah, I mean he's not. And even on top of that, let's say he didn't get off to a slow start, he's still not going to be Alex Bregman. You lost Bregman and replaced him with nothing. You did nothing really to improve your team, and you missed the playoffs last year, if I'm correct. So, their pitching.
Well, you did. You got some guys. You're kind of underselling them a little bit.
Who do they have that are some guys though? Like Duran's a nice player.
They brought in Sonny Gray, who's pretty decent pitcher.
Okay.
They brought in Ranger Suarez or Runhair Suarez.
You're right.
And they brought in Wilson Contreras, who's not not great, but well, what I was going to say though is one of the important things that comes up though with this opening series is, do you see Boston as potentially in an 85-win territory?
I do.
And Houston, I predicted, was going to be in that 85-win territory. So when it comes time to choosing who's going to be the wild card, head-to-head is going to be pretty damn important. And you're up on them 3-0. So all you need is 1 win in Boston, and you've won the season series.
Yeah, they talked about that on the broadcast today. That was certainly something that was nice to, I guess, check off early, right? Was you're up 3-0 in a season series. You don't really think about that often um, in the seventh game of the year. But last year the Astros technically tied for that third wild card spot. It was the season series numbers that ended up costing them a chance to be in the playoffs. So, I mean, among other things, like a giant collapse. But at the end of the day, if you maybe pay a little closer attention to that stuff early on in the year, I commend a spotter for not doing softball Sunday out there today, giving every right. I commend him for doing, hey, we got a day off tomorrow. Let's go for the fucking sweep, right? Because I think you and I both could have seen in the Dusty Baker days. Nick Allen is starting at shortstop today. Jordan needs a day off. Paredes is going to play second. We're going to have Laprofito, Matthews, and Cam Smith. We could have just seen one of those days, right? Where like everybody got the day off together.
Well,
we didn't.
That had to be tempting though, because you were going up against Crochet. So I could have seen the thinking of, we're not touching this guy. Let's go ahead and, let's rest the guys. But yeah, what I was going to say though is, if you look at the last three seasons, 24 and 23, came down to about the last series of the season. We just happened to be on the right side of it those years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is, every game counts. You cannot bleed games, even if it's in April.
No, absolutely. The season is a totality, right? And now, can you overcome a slow start, or, can you give up a hot start? Yeah, no, absolutely. Right. But the season in itself is a totality. What you do in game one, theoretically, is just as just as important as what happens in game 7. So let's talk about starting in game 3, Scott, because the Astros offense has taken a turn, right? Like some of the things that you and I were standing on a milk crate just screaming from the top of our fucking lungs last year of lay off, be patient, try and work some counts. Let's maybe knock a pitcher out. Now here we are. Jordan saying there's team meetings where they are talking about, we're trying to knock the pitcher out of the game. First of all, no fucking shit, right? Like that's the goal. But second of all, like, what a refreshing thing to hear. After, hey, just be aggressive out there, find your pitch, see your pitch, hit a pitch, be a guy up there, guy, be a guy.
You suck, Hump.
Yeah. Hey, that's always shit. But hey, be a guy up there, be a guy. Like that. I mean, that was the extent of our coaching for 3 seasons now. So, it does seem like we're taking a much different approach on the offensive side of the plate. And I, at least through 7 games, Scott, we're seeing more pitches. The things that you talked about with Cam Smith was he's swinging too early, he's swinging too often. Well, hey, got a little coaching, said, hey, lay off this stuff early. Next thing you know, he gets a pitch to hit, he homers. It also helps when you get, 4-strike at bat like he did yesterday, which is just fantastic. And the fact that even the other team didn't notice.
Well, did I tell you about my story? The best reffing story I've ever heard. So it's a game between Lamarck and Galveston ball football, right? But it's like freshman JV, something like that. It's not the varsity. So one of them's got the ball at the team's 10-yard line. So you've got a face mask penalty on the defense. So the referee marches 15 yards, which 5 of it's in the end zone, sticks up his hands, goes touchdown. Neither coach complains. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, that works.
That adds up. Because when I watched that game, and that bat, like something seemed off, Scott. Like after that, they're like, that's right. That he was up there. Was like, oh, maybe that one was a steal, was a ball, something, right? Like, and then like when I watched the replay, I was like, nah, he swung all 3 times. Like there's no way they just missed it.
Well,
and it's a walking.
Well, you had a you had a stealing attempt, you had throwing error, you have a guy running home. Some people lose. I mean, counting to 3, Tim, is hard. I mean,
You can't expect. Hey, you can't expect these guys to,
you're
keep track of all that stuff.
you're paying
It's
them.
not like there's a handheld device, Scott, that you could possibly use that would let you know the count in any situation. Such a thing would never exist. Maybe like a wheel that clicks. I don't know. No, it would never be invented. It
Or
would
the
never have been something my dad had his little league umpire pouch. But I don't know.
or the freaking scoreboard. But you're paying these guys only $300,000 to $500,000 a year, Tom. I mean, what are you expecting here? You expecting professionalism? I mean, what?
I think you and I both know the answer to that question. We'll get to that a little bit later. But let's talk on the other side of things, Scott, because as good as the offense has been, maybe I think Hunter Brown relieves some concern on his end, but Javier, the things that we were talking about in spring training that he was getting away with, he did not get away with. The Astros still found a way to win that game, but it was with the bats. Amai didn't look great. Obviously, I think he was trying to pick the zone a little bit, not, kind of similar to Hunter Brown, maybe a little nervy, didn't quite attack the way you would have hoped he would. But still wasn't a great first showing. And Brian Abreu has been dog shit, quite frankly. He has allowed 2 home runs, 6 runs total. He got pulled out of an outing. I don't know, Scott. Like, the pitching, we talked, it could be an issue. I loved what Lance McCullers did the other night. I don't think we can expect 1-run innings for the rest of the season from the guy, but that at least could be some stress off your shoulders of knowing that, hey, Lance feels good, right? Like, I may not get this every time, but if at least Lance is healthy, I know he's a competitive enough pitcher to give me good outings. But Burrows hasn't been nails. He's been okay. He got hit pretty hard in the game you went to. Not necessarily hit hard. He found a lot of bats, right? And those bats maybe found a lot of open holes. Today, I think he was okay. He kind of was similar to Lance McCullers in that he was like Rocky, where I cut a clip for you where he's getting the shit beat out of him by Clubber Lang, but still gets to, it ain't so bad. It ain't so bad. Like, Burrows had a lot of traffic on the bases, a lot of contact, a lot of deep fly balls. But hey, it's 5 innings, 2-run baseball. So you take that. But the score line wasn't necessarily indicative of the way that game felt being watched. It was, Correa with a big swing really changed the way that game felt as we were watching it. But I mean, overall, the starting pitching, I think it's just not been up to what Astros fans have come to expect when we get guys in that pitching lab.
Well, there are 2 things that come to mind here, Tim, and you're going to have to help me out here. I'm not very good at stats. So Brian Abreu's ERA is just a shade over 19. Is that good?
No.
Okay.
Not good.
I'm just checking. I don't know these.
Yep.
But what I would say about today's game is that, and my cousin asked me, how do you handicap baseball? And I told him you don't. Because this is a getaway game. You're going up against one of the top 3 pitchers in the American League. I'm penciling this in as a loss, right? And if I'm a gambling man, I would have bet on the Red Sox because Crochet is, although Houston has hit him hard in the past. So to me, I look at that as a steal. And I look at the fact that you have made it through 3 very shaky Brian Abreu outings, and none of them have resulted in a loss. To me, I'm going to call that gravy. Because, I did come away somewhat optimistic about him looking at the way he finished the outing. 3 Ks, fastball touching 97, slider nasty. That's the Brian Abreu that we know. So at least I think stuff-wise, he's okay. I think what we need to focus on with him is just limping our way through until we can get Hader back in that closer spot.
I don't necessarily disagree the thing that scares me with Abreu, he reminds me a lot of Brad Lidge, both in stuff and in mental capacity, we'll call it. Brad Lidge had the real hard downbreaking slider and the fastball that sat like 97, 98, right? Well, what happened when Brad Lidge couldn't throw the slider for strikes anymore and lost just a mile or two off the fastball? Guys can hit 95 no problem. And that to me is what I'm afraid of with Abreu is he gets in this area where he can't throw the slider for a strike. Then he starts trying to pinpoint with the fastball instead of just throwing it, and it's 95 center cut. And he's given up some fucking bombs already, right? Like you had a guy, Roman Anthony, who has been slumping hard, was benched today and comes in cold off the bench at the top of the ninth inning and takes fucking Abreu deep. And Cole Schnauhauser, whatever the fuck his name was from the A's, that ball's still fucking orbiting. It was hit so hard. So, that was like the Pujols homer. That was, if you look outside your windows, you'll see the ball that Albert Pujols hit as Auspice's famous plane announcement was made. So that worries me with Abreu is he's just not a guy mentally I want finishing games. There seems to be just a different Brian Abreu when it's the 7th or 8th inning versus when it's the 9th. The way that blue ball has come on to start this season, I might feel safer with him right now, Scott, to finish off a game.
So I want to do a segment here, Tim. What I call positive, negative overreactions.
Hey, we talked about that in the text.
Yeah, and I think you and I both have hit on number one negative overreaction. So we'll take Brian Abreu out. So let's start with the positive because we harp too much on the negative around here. What was your number one positive overreaction from this last week?
Jordan, just seeing how well he looks or how good he looks right now. My number one overreaction is Jordan will win MVP this year.
He just hits the ball motherfucking hard.
Everything is fucking center cut, right?
Everything off the bat is just, even though it's at people, it's like, you want to check that glove in the outfield to see if it's blown through it. It's, he's that double.
The one on opening day that would have been a homer that hits the rafter, that thing was going to be a, like upper tank, right? Like that one he hit where they had to put like a special seat because no one ever fucking hit one there before. They're all like, hey, buy this ticket way up in the rafters where only Jordan can hit it. Like that one was gonna be like, God, who was the Win had like a crazy home run to the upper deck of the dome, right? And they had like the one fucking gold seat up there that was like, here's where Wynn's home run landed. Like that's where that fucking ball was headed, and it hit the rafter. So that one was gonna be 480 minimum. It was ascending at 350, Scott. So that one was insane. The one he hit in game 2 was just fucking. Line drive mashed. Doubles are at 109, like 112 off the bat. Like Jordan, you just forgot how good he was when healthy, right? Like he is just balanced. He is so fucking balanced all the time. You never get that man out of balance. Even when his arms are out in front, his legs still stay behind so he can fucking whip through.
Well, and what I think he is he's, dare I say, he's the clutch version of Aaron Judge as a hitter. If Aaron Judge were clutch, he'd be Jordan Alvarez. My number one overreaction
if Jordan was healthy, he'd be Aaron Judge, right?
My number one overreaction is that this is the Jose Altuve that you and I have been waiting for 6 years.
Yep.
8 walks,
7
games. He had 8 walks through the first 6. He didn't walk today. But I don't think he's going to walk 100 times. I don't think that's going to happen. But what I think is going to happen is he may hit 300 again because he's going to get more pitches to hit. He's going to be able to hit pitches hard. If you looked at the exit velocities, his exit velocity is up over years past. 7 games. He's going to go through slumps. These things are going to happen. But I think on balance, Jose Altuve is a better Jose, the best Jose Altuve we've seen, I think, since 2019.
Did you ever read Astro Ball?
I did not, but I know some of the principles in it.
So obviously people won't take it as seriously now with everything that's come out with the scandal and stuff like that. But I still think some of what's in there is extremely valuable, right? Like the idea that the Astros treated baseball like blackjack, right? Like you should always do what the numbers tell you to do was obviously a big part of it, especially when it came to drafting. But on the offensive side of things, they went to Jose Altuve prior to that 2017 MVP run. And they said, look, here is the part of the zone where you absolutely fucking mash. When you get the ball, middle in, low, these three square hot squares, right? When you get it there with less than 2 strikes, let it fucking rip. Outside of that, don't swing. And hey, you're a good enough hitter with 2 strikes. You can Vlad Guerrero any fucking baseball into a base hit. We've all seen it. Do what you got to do with 2 strikes. But outside of 2 strikes, we want you to hunt balls, specifically fastballs, in this portion of the zone. And what did Jose Altuve do? He won a fucking MVP that year, and he added that power stroke to his bat. And he had a 2-homer game the other night. He's hitting the ball with more authority. He's not just leaning out and slapping balls and that slap hitter of Jose Altuve that we've seen, later in his career and even early in his career. So when he can hunt parts of the zone early and it allows him to just lay off that shit, he's a much better hitter.
And the thing is about Altuve is that he's still going to get those cheap ass hits. He averages probably, somewhere between 20 and 30 infield hits a year. He's already got 2 of them. And so those are the kinds of hits. And I think when you look at, he's the only guy on this team, like when you look at StatCast and what guys are supposed to hit, it doesn't match him ever. He outproduces that, every single season because he's getting those 20 to 30 infield hits a year. Those, excuse me, like you remember the Cam Smith single, the hard hit, single that went about 30 feet. I mean, Altuve is getting those on fairly regular basis. And the thing is that there's going to be a day where he doesn't because he slows down a step. Day hadn't happened yet. And so to kind of sandwich this back or to do the snake draft thing, my number 1 positive overreaction, number 2, Christian Walker. He is not going to get 110 doubles this year. That's not going to happen. I know he's on that pace. That's not going to happen. However, and I heard this stat. I don't know if this was on the TV broadcast or where I heard it, but he saw more 97 plus fastballs than any Astro in the lineup last year. And it's almost like teams kind of knew that you should do that to him. It's almost like other teams, Tim, have scouting reports and use them. Isn't that weird?
I mean, it makes sense for pitchers, Scott, but I don't think that's allowed on offense. I think you're supposed to just
rip it, let it rip.
Be a guy up there. I think that's what you're allowed to do.
But as much of a data nerd.
What if like the Astros is like when they're about to have a new pitcher come in, instead of actually looking at like what these guys do, they're getting a quick game of Angry Birds in on the iPad. Yeah. Like that's what they're like. Oh, let me get a couple quick more throws on my Angry Bird. Let me check my farm. Okay. All right, let's go up there. Let's take a couple hacks.
Or when you shoot the cat out of the cannon, see how far it can bounce, or what
Like, you guys are looking at videos on those things.
But no, what I was going to say about Walker, he's such a data nerd that he knew this. And so he spent the winter doing what he needed to do physically and mechanically to get, a slightly quicker bat. And so far, he's hitting better. Now, again, like everybody else, he's going to go through some periods where he doesn't hit as well. He always has those periods last year, even when he was making good contact, where it'll be good contact at guys. But he is making more contact. He's not striking out nearly 30%. He's closer to 20. And I think you can see that Christian Walker all season. And if you see that Christian Walker, then you're seeing the 2023 Christian Walker that we thought we were signing.
No, absolutely. Right. 2023 is the Christian Walker you were saying we should trade for this guy. 24 was a down year for him. I'd like to imagine we've talked about Rocky 3 as the way that Lance McCullers made his way through his start. I hope you know where I'm going with this. I'd like to imagine that Christian Walker spent his winter in Russia and like he's out there like fucking lifting rocks and he's going through the snow and he's getting to a mountain and maybe his wife didn't want to go to Russia with him at first.
He got a full-on beard.
Yeah, full-on beard. That's why his beard looks so great right now because he was in Russia over the winter. And I'd like to imagine his wife didn't go at first and then like he was kind of like hesitant in his training and he hit a wall. And then like he came back from one of these snow runs and his wife's on the porch. And then now he's lifting like 60 stones and he's fucking pushing it to the limit. Someone's probably juicing and it doesn't affect him. He's still going to find a way. That's what I'd like to imagine his winter looked like.
My favorite part of that whole training montage, Tim, is when he's lifting the rocks. Mm-hmm. And they look over to Adrian, and Adrian tells him when he can drop the rocks. And it's like, yeah, because we want her making training decisions. All right,
the whole thing is wonderful. But that's how I'm imagining Christian Walker spent his offseason because, no, you're right. He had a lot of strikeouts last year. The percentage was up, but his chase rate wasn't, right? He was just getting beat in the zone up with heat. He couldn't touch it. And it looked like, oh, shit, here we go again. A guy who's, hitting the downside of 34, 33, bat speed's down. And he dedicated himself to finding a way to being that guy, right? Because obviously if Christian Walker got off to a slow start and you have this log jam of infielders, how long is it till Paredes is your everyday first baseman, right? How long is it till the fans are calling for that to DFA Walker, do it again? Here we go again. And so, good for Walker for with everything all around him, everything that happened last year, which, by the way, wasn't even a bad year. I'm so frustrated with the people who talk about last year like it was some failure. Guy led your team in ribbies, had an 800 OPS the last, 4 months of the season. Well, I think if you get this Christian Walker all year, you're in good shape. And let me give you my next overreaction, Scott. Vintage Carlos Correa, both offensively and defensively. The power stroke is back, power to other fields. He's hitting the ball hard the other way. And then, oh my God, didn't you fucking forget how much you love watching this man play defense? I literally could watch him play shortstop or third. Really, I could watch him play short for the rest of my life and be a happy person. This, the fans know this. I fucking love Carlos Correa. I have never shied away from it. I have never not said I'm biased towards Carlos Correa, but to see vintage fucking Correa like this, Scott, overreaction for me, number 4.
Okay, so 2 things I was going to go back to the Walker thing.
Okay.
So with the Rocky analogy, does that make Jose Abreu Apollo Creed?
No.
Well, because he dies.
So he's avenging. No, I think maybe John Singleton might be Apollo Creed. His career died, and now.
You see, he's like Perez standing over him. If he dies, he dies. But no, but with Correa. So I want you to picture this, Tim. Right. So Janet and I are searching for meatless options at the ballpark on a Friday during Lent. That is, you talk about first world problems. That was a first world problem.
You could probably get like a Papa John's cheese pizza, right?
Well, didn't do that. I ended up getting loaded fries.
Okay.
So, and of course they didn't, give us any napkins or a fork. So I'm sitting there, I'm wearing my Correa jersey, and I'm starting to eat these fries, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. So I have to yank the Correa jersey off, put it in the seat next to me, and then continue to eat the fries because you can't stain the Correa jersey.
No, that's a
I mean,
respect move. I appreciate that.
That's a sin. I still want Correa playing third. I still think Pena is the better defensive shortstop overall at this stage of their careers. But if you need a guy to play about once or twice a week at the position, you can do a whole lot worse. It's better than Nick the Stick Allen, who's going to play good defensively, but he hit a ball hard the other day, Tim. I don't know if you saw that. He almost got it out to the warning track.
So did Bryce Matthews. It went like 460.
But his was more like 280, but it was almost to the warning track. It was almost like, you and I out there where it's like, we're just going to throw you a fat pitch, muscle it as much as you can. And me, probably that would be as far as I could hit it. But he's getting paid, probably close to $1 million. But now, so my overreaction number 3, you took Correa, which is, I think, a good call. I'm going to go, you mentioned him. I think Blue Ball is your Chris Stefanski from 2016. So, go back here with me, Tim. What was Stefanski when he came up?
He was a starter originally.
He was, and he came out and he pitched decently in the rotation. And then all of a sudden our rotation was deep, our bullpen not so much. So here comes this guy that can throw 2 and 3 innings, go one time through the order and just blow everybody away, overpower them. And then probably midway through 2017, it's gone. Now I'm hoping that's not Blue Ball, but I think he is certainly what Devinsky was when he first came up.
Yeah, Devinsky had that circle change that originally was kind of unhittable. And I feel like he kind of lost the ability to get guys to chase that once they laid off of that. Kind of lost that swing and miss that he had early in his career. But I do think Blue Ball's slider, that's a fucking wipeout slider, man. That is a 9th inning slider. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, that is a big time. You're getting paid a lot of money in the 9th inning to put games away slider.
Well, and he's humming it in there 97, 98, especially in the bullpen. And, one I think I noticed is I watched most of that McCullers start. Hunter Brown just looks different. It's different. You could tell. I mean, he's sitting there throwing BBs in the zone, and Boston, they're up and down the lineup. They're just like, what do I do with this?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and what it reminded me of as a kid was watching Nolan Ryan. And Nolan Ryan would hum it in the zone like 97, 98. And you think back in those days, 97, 98. And the hitters are just like, I don't know what to do. And then he'd bring that huge curveball and they'd just be befuddled.
I mean, to me, it was vintage Verlander. Like, that's how I saw it. Like, he literally was feeling himself the way that Justin used to feel himself and say, here's 98. That's your fucking letters. Good luck. Right? Like, how many starts of Justin Verlander did you just overlay the pitches and it was 97, 98, all at the top of the fucking zone and have at it?
And right at the corners, too. Like, there were several that were, like, right on the black. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, what the hell are you going to do with that as a hitter? Good luck. But
I was maybe a touch nervous after Hunter's first start. And then you kind of realize, you know what? This guy was just maybe a tad nervy on opening day. Maybe his second start wiped any feeling of like, ooh, nope, Hunter's fine. Hunter's fine.
But I'm on the Blue Ball train because the guy just has different level stuff. Like these other guys, are kind of getting by, because even the guy they brought in last night to finish off the game, and he was humming it in there, but he wasn't humming it in there 97, 98. He looks more like a Caleb Ort, who was mid-90s.
He was at 96, though. He was at 96.
That was Caleb. Caleb Ort was throwing it in there that fast.
And you know what I liked about him though, Scott, was I'm sorry, real quick. 13 of 15 pitches were strikes.
Oh yeah,
that's what I like. When you come out of the bullpen, you pound the fucking zone. I got room for you. When you come out and you nitpick and you fucking try and catch corners all day, my biggest pet peeve is a reliever who comes in and walks the first batter he faces, because statistics will show you that that batter comes around to score like more than half the time.
Yeah, that's and so. But one of the funnier articles was, you know how the Trade Rumors app. I'm sure you go to that every now and then.
Not as much as you. I use Reddit.
Where they would always do this, and it's either basketball, football, baseball, right? And they'll be like, Houston Texans not considering trading Will Anderson. Like, really? Thanks. And so one of their articles was, Houston has not had extension talks with Brian Abreu. And it's like, no shit.
I wouldn't either right now.
I wouldn't have before, because I could see this coming eventually. I didn't know if it was going to come this year, but you can see it. There's been oil that's been leaking.
For sure.
And so if you have a guy,
I think Scott, you and I both agree, if we didn't give him big run as a closer this year, there is a team out there who is willing to convince themselves he could be their closer, right? Like, they're willing to pay him $15 million a year to come close baseball games, right? Like, you're telling me, hey, I got a guy who throws 97 with a wipeout slider. His ERA's been below 2 the last couple of years. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go get that guy and pay him to be my closer. Not knowing that every time we try and bring this guy in and be a closer, he's a fucking mental midget and can't get the job done.
Yeah, I'm going to tell the Denver Gazette, okay, my team might have gone 47 and 115 this year, but we're convinced that if we had a closer to the level of Brian Abreu, that we could win at least 55 games. But no. So going into, obviously, we've kind of dived into the negative, and we've been, kind of dishing on him. So, who is your number 2 on the overreaction negative train?
Did we take Christian Javier out?
We have not.
Christian Javier is my biggest question mark, who I'm not sure makes it to June. My biggest negative overreaction, I think, is that Christian Javier will be out of the Astros rotation and possibly DFA'd by June. I don't think he has the stuff anymore. I think you can look at the biggest difference between like a guy like Lance McCullers and Christian Javier. Supposedly they're both healthy, right? Like, they both had long recoveries. Lance seems to have maybe reinvented how he's pitching a little bit more. He's done some different things. Javier's trying to go back to doing the same thing again. That's not working because his ball's not moving the same way. And now he's just coming in at 94 flat, mid fucking letters.
If 94.
Right. And I'm sorry, like, it's just not gonna play. Like, he's a fly ball pitcher and he's gonna get hit hard. And I just don't see a way that if Spencer Arrighetti gets off to a good start in Sugarland and Javier's sitting at anything above like a 4 ERA, how do you justify leaving Arrighetti out of your rotation if Javier's not doing it?
I have a theory. So, and a theory and a prediction. So, we know you and I both sat there and listened to the Lance McCullers interview, after, last night after his brilliant start. So, why did he reinvent himself?
Possibly maybe try and extend his career a little bit more, or stay healthier, get more out of his body. He's older. He's been injured for a while. I really don't know.
My theory is that he got the shit kicked out of him last year. And so when you get the shit kicked out of you, if you want to keep playing in the show, you got to be.
Do you think he was in Russia as well with Walker?
I don't think it's physical. I think it's completely mental, and it's, completely like, I have been nibbling all these years. I've been, relying on exceptional stuff. I don't think his stuff was exceptional the other night. Like, he doesn't look like Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown just looks different. I think what it was I'm going to attack the zone. I'm going to attack the zone in different spots. I'm going to attack the zone with different pitches, different speeds. And you're just going to have to figure it out. And there's going to be some nights where he's going to get hit hard. I mean, that's coming. But I think he figured out, I cannot pitch like I pitched last year. And my theory on Javier is, this is his 2025 McCullers season, where he is going to figure out this year, oh shit, I can't be the 2022 Javier anymore. That guy's not there anymore. So my theory is that they're not going to DFA him. They're going to put him on the DL with whiplash, or you get whiplash, right? Or unexplained diminished performance, or something, some kind of mumbo jumbo, maybe plantar fasciitis. I don't know what they're going to come up with, but
anal fissures.
But that's my theory. My theory is, I'm with you. I don't think he lasts past June. I don't think they cut him because they got one more year on his contract. So they're going to want to salvage what they can, but what they're going to tell him kind of behind closed doors is, you can't be this guy anymore. And they're probably already telling him that. But a professional athlete's pride and their belief in themselves, and I was just a little bit off the other day, and when I have my real stuff, they won't hit me. It's going to take about 5 or 6 hours.
I don't understand from his arm slot and his arm angle, why has no one said to him, hey, let's go with a two-seamer. Let's have something that runs real hard in on fucking right-handers and just darts away from left-handers, right? From where he releases the baseball, to me, that would be one of the biggest fixes of, hey, the four-seam doesn't rise like it used to. Okay, let's bring in a fucking two here, and let's have it get in on guys' hands. Let's be a guy who blows up fucking bats, and on lefty, he's trying to induce his ground balls. To me, that would have been the easiest strategy change you could make, and maybe that's what this upcoming theory of yours will lead to, which is him being a two-seam guy, because I think he's got the arm angle and the arm action for it. The way that he whips kind of through like that ball should fucking dart in on the hands of righties where he's coming and releasing it from.
So I'm going to play into my next negative reaction here, Tim, and just point this out. I think our hitting coaches know what they're doing now. I think our pitching coaches have always known what they've been doing, but it takes the player to actually take in that information and use it, right? They have to. I'm sure they're telling them this. They're telling them, you can't pitch like this anymore. But he's stubborn because, if you look at his career, he's overcome the odds at every step. He was not a hot prospect. He was like Altuve. He was, kind of coming through the ranks, and, all of a sudden, kind of burst on the scene, as a guy, nobody really offered him a ton of
YouTube game of the week, player of the game.
And so my number 2 guy is the guy on the hitting side. I know these hitting coaches are telling Yainer Diaz not to swing. I know they are. But he's like, I don't fucking care. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to. And maybe he's even telling himself, don't swing. Oh, shit, I swung. And so, and here's my hot take. Christian Vasquez and Yainer Diaz are going to be splitting catching duties 50-50 by June. It's going to happen because how one of the ways you fix Javier is Vasquez as his catcher. That's one of the ways you fix Javier, because then, you know, Vasquez is going to sit there and, you know, motherfucker, you're throwing a two-seamer. I told you to throw the two-seamer. You're throwing the two-seamer.
Yeah.
You're not like, you know, this, oh, whatever you want to do, bud. You know, hey, it's your game. You know, yeah, you need that veteran in there, you know, kind of like Martin Maldonado. But I think Vasquez has got enough pelts on the wall to sit there and say, this is what you're throwing, bud. You know,
and that's why the genius that was Dusty Baker didn't play him all that much, Scott. And that's why you and I both agreed with Dusty at the time. And we thank him now. You know, we thanked him later for how he handled Yainer and prepared him to be a guy who handles pitching staffs. Dusty knew the whole time, and that's why we're thanking him. Here we are later.
Well, and I'm trying to remember here, Tim.
Tongue in cheek, obviously.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Memory. I'm trying to recall who was catching in that no hitter in the World Series.
I want to say Vasquez.
It was Vasquez. In fact, of all the innings that he caught in the postseason, which I think was like 36 innings, pitchers gave up 1 run.
Yeah, he calls a nice game.
Calls a nice game. So to me, that's, you know, and I like him catching a eye. I mean, I think that's a good idea. So I think you're going to at least see him twice in a 5, you know, in a 5 pitcher stint, if not 3 times in 6.
I don't disagree, and I'm going to take your hot take, and I'm going to take it further. I think Yainer's traded for an arm at some point this season. You've got a prospect who looked fantastic in the spring, and it was Janik is the name
Walker
there?
Janik. Yeah.
The catching prospect Janik looked fantastic. Maybe a year away. Like, I don't think it'd be crazy to think that next year this guy could compete for a starting job. If you like what you see out of Vasquez, the way he handles your pitching staff, you mentioned it before. I've mentioned trading him before. Trade Yainer for an arm, either a good bullpen arm or a back end starter. Let Vasquez and Salazar handle the catching duty this year, knowing that you've got a top prospect coming up next year who, you know, bring back Vasquez and pair him with that guy, and boom, you're ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So
that's a hotter negative reaction to Yainer than yours, where I don't necessarily think he'll be splitting time. I think he'll just be gone, because I don't think he calls a good game. I think his understanding of the zone is terrible. He is the worst challenger.
Okay.
I've like the things that Yainer fucking challenges on ABS are dog shit. It goes back to the fact that Yainer doesn't know how to frame a pitch to begin with, so he doesn't understand where the ball even is when he fucking takes one out of the dirt. He's like a little league kid framing who takes one out of the dirt and then like holds it up in the middle of the hey-oh. And so like, no, I gotta challenge that. Look where I'm holding it. That was obviously a strike. And so I mean, he's terrible. He's terrible behind the plate.
All right. So who is your next negative? So you've gone Abreu and Javier so far. Who's your number 3 guy?
I don't know if I could give you another one outside of that, Scott. You know, I think I've been happy with Laperfito. I think Cam's been okay. He looked a little rough early, but I think made the adjustment that you and I were both hoping he would make. Abreu sucked, but King's been okay. Blue Ball's been good. You know, some of those young bullpen guys are young, getting their ears wet. But I mean, outside of that, I can't think of a guy who really wants me to overreact negatively.
The only one, and this is a distant third for me. I don't think Bryce Matthews is going to stick. I think that obviously the power and the speed is there. I mean, that's obvious. You don't you don't accidentally hit a 460-foot home run. That doesn't happen. That Nick Allen is not getting a hold of one and going 460. But his K rate is just, and I don't even think it's him chasing. He just swings and misses a lot, and I don't know how
swing and miss there.
I don't know how you coach that out of him. And you know, I would, if he is,
but if that's who the player he is, Why not have him be Nick Allen and Nick Allen be gone? I'd rather have a guy come off the bench who's got speed and power like that, who may run into one on a pinch hit home run type scenario, versus Nick the Stick Allen, who warning track power.
Well, if you're going the route that you're going with Yiner, if you had a team that thought, hey, this Bryce Matthews kid could start for us, maybe you pair them together and you get a better starter, or a end of the bullpen reliever. So I mean, I think in the interim, yeah, I think the way they're using him is fine. I just see the holes in the game are still there.
I'm okay with that. All right, Scott, we're going to call a quick audible. We did a lot more Astros talk maybe than we originally intended, so we're going to push our Rocket segment to next week. We will mention they've won 4 in a row, pretty solidly entrenched in that 5-6 seed battle right now. So we'll talk more Rockets next week. But hey, it's opening week of Major League Baseball. Scott and I are both baseball guys at heart. You can't expect us to not go heavy on the rawhide here this week. So let's start giving some awards away, Scott. Who do you want to go pow right in the kisser with this week?
All right, Tim. So, Janet and I are sitting there. We're enjoying ourselves at the game. We ended up, we're on the first level, the 100 level. So, Ken's sitting a little bit far back in the upper on the lower level, but hey, we don't have to walk far to our seats. We don't have to climb stairs. We're happy. And so I'm sitting there, and then they bring in the Astros PR department, brings in the slogan for the year: chase the fight, chase the fight. And I'm trying, and I'm a school teacher, Tim. So
can you just imagine like something called The Fight going down like a hallway, and you just see like the whole team like, no, come back.
Well, what I'm picturing is you got 2 7th graders in the hall duking it, and somebody at the end of the hall, fight, and they start running after it. And that's, and the funniest comment that I heard is on my launch angle little group, the group that ended up leaving the crawfish boxes, and this guy who's kind of a troll, but he's hilarious at times. He's like, no, you don't understand. This is, this was when we were 0-2. He says this is a 2-tiered slogan. And so now it's chase the fight. But in June, it's going to be, now we're fighting. And I was like, you, sir, have won the internet for the day. But I'm sitting here thinking like, and I'm trying to picture the guy that came up with this. And so I'm picturing a guy in his 20s, because I know you're in your 30s, so I'm not going to dive on you. I'm going to 21, 22-year-old, maybe a big balls kind of guy. And he's sitting there, yo, dude, I got it. Let's go fight the chase. No. I got it, dude. Chase the fight, man. That's awesome, dude. And everybody,
I think you got it backwards. To me, this has Jeff Bagwell his hands all over it. I think Bagwell, a quick knock on Jim's door. Hey, Jim, had a dream last night. Chase the fight. What do you think? Does that mean anything to you? Hey, why don't you run that down into the PR, see what they have to say? Hey, guys, Jim told me to bring the phrase chase the fight down to you. Said something about season slogan. You guys do what you want with that, though. Next thing you know, hey, guys, Jeff Bagwell said we got to go with chase the fight. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know, guys. Came down from Jeff, though. So chase the fight it is. Make it work.
You could have fired it into ChatGPT and said, I need a 3-word slogan, to motivate an organization. And, somebody actually did that, and half of them sounded like Cobra Kai. It was like hit hard fast or something like that, but it's
strike
like
first, strike fast.
Well, that's 4 words, but I mean, it made more sense. I mean, you would have some copyright infringement, I think, but hey,
No, that I think we should be strike first, strike fast, no mercy. Are you guys cool with that? Anybody? Is anyone? I don't know why. I watched Karate Kid last night, and then had a dream that would be. I don't know. You got anybody have any issues with that? Okay, cool. I don't know, guys. Anyone wax on, wax off? Does that mean anything to anybody here? Does anybody think we can work with that? Like we're waxing them on, and they waxed off. I don't know.
What about use the crane? Use the crane. Yeah.
Miyagi-Do? Does anyone think we can do a Miyagi-Do? I don't know.
All right, Tim.
Anybody? What about danger zone? Is there anything we can do with the phrase "highway to the danger zone"? I don't know, man. I don't know.
All right, who are you punching this week, Tim?
I think they could have just listed like 1980s theme song titles, and it probably would have been better.
Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger would have been great. Fuck, man. Final countdown. It's the final countdown. Come on. Then the fans would be like, "What the fuck's happening to our team?" This week, I want to punch Yiner in the face, Scott. We've talked at length about this whole team seems to have a more paced approach, and Yiner just constantly looks like a guy who used to play college baseball, who now like is playing slow pitch softball, and he's just going up there to drop bombs, and he ends up swinging and missing all the time. Like that's every swing Yiner takes is a giant hack, and even his ground ball singles are because he gets jammed and it scoots through. He looks like fucking Scotty Scheffler with his feet every time he swings. Like he's off balance, he's sliding all over the place. And then let's not forget, he is the worst pitch framer I've ever seen in my entire life. He has no idea where the strike zone is. His handling of the ABS challenges has to be the worst of any major league catcher in baseball so far. I can't imagine any starting catcher out there, any opening day starter has a worse challenge rate than Yiner. He's so bad. And this is a guy that we thought Dusty was holding back. I joked earlier, that Dusty was going to, we're going to thank him later for how he handled how Dusty handled him. But like, God forbid, was Dusty right at this point with Yiner? Is Yiner just a little fucking shit who doesn't take coaching? Is he one of those guys who was great for Cintrone because, hey, let's go, see ball, hit ball, let's go. Like he and Cintrone like this, baby. Maybe you could trade with the Rangers. I don't know. But, oh my God, Scott, it is so every 8 of 9 guys have an approach at the plate of be patient, find your pitch, attack it. And Yiner's like, nah, fucking spin 3 curveballs up here. Watch me fan the front row.
I'm going to rubber stamp that one, but I'm going to go with a different guy, and I'm going with the original intent of the award. And the guy I want to see out of town is I've seen enough of Roderick.
Hang on. I got to get there. That was the POW.
Oh,
I'm get to the ass.
Oh, the horse's ass. I'm going with the original intent of the award, and that is Roderick Munoz. I want him out of town. I've seen enough. I've seen enough cement mixer sliders. Yeah, what are you going to pay Cincinnati Reds $50,000? You shit that in popcorn, money, every night. I think you can afford it. Plus, you're going to have guys. You want to hold them back until you get Hader back, or Bennett Sousa, Enyel De Los Santos. You want to wait until one of those guys comes back? Okay, fine. But I don't want him pitching in a game that's closer than 5 runs either way. That's basically where I am with him.
I don't disagree. He got lit up like a Christmas tree the other day. Yeah, I think that one's fine. There are plenty of other arms that could be just as ineffective. Yeah, I'm fine with you. All right, Scott. I want to punch, and this as a baseball. I'm sorry, no, we're on horse's ass. So I also, sticking with the original intent of the award, is a guy that I want out of town. CB Buckner.
Oh, good God.
CB Buckner had 6 of his 8 challenge pitches overturned. He had back-to-back challenge pitches overturned. On top of the fact that he's just a fucking asshole who big leagues people and like, quite frankly, the Astros got sued for ruining a minor leaguer's career. CB Buckner has ended more careers before they started than the Astros ever did with any sign stealing scandal. That guy has taken the bats out of people's hands early on their careers. They get sent back down, never get called up again. He had 11 major league at bats, and unfortunately, 4 of them went behind Buckner behind the plate. And next thing you know, that was it for you. So yeah, CB Buckner he's just not a good umpire, man. And he's just not good at what he does. And he's so frustrating to watch because he's just a fucking giant ego trip out there. So the intent of this award is just get the fuck out of town. That's him. He's an old school umpire, and I'm just done with those guys. We need new age guys.
Can I interest you in a stat, Tim?
I love stats, Scott.
So in that game that you were mentioning where the 6 of the 8 you overturned, out of 80 pitches that were not swings, 20 of them were miscalled. So when you're batting 75% as a home plate umpire, is that good?
Not great.
And then, of course, we have the one in Milwaukee where him and both Kevin Cash and Pat Murphy both were having a ball because it was just such a horrible call where he said the guy didn't touch first base. You know why he said he didn't touch first base, Tim?
I don't know. That was the one that made me do this. What was his reasoning again?
No, his reason is because he wasn't looking at the fucking bag.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was adamant about it too, man. Like, I mean, he's getting like 8 challenge pitches in a game, 6 of which are overturned, right? Like that's fucking insane. That's insane to me that, yeah. And
you know what?
You talk about I don't like the police union, but I do generally like unions. The police union is often referred to as the strongest union in America. Don't fuck. The Major League Baseball umpire union is the strongest union in America. When people like CB Buckner can still have a job, and they were out there bitching of these guys are going to be embarrassed, with this ABS system. They should be embarrassed because the one where it says like missed call by 6 inches, you're a fucking clown. If you got one that says 6 inches, you shouldn't be out there.
Well, and the best part is there are good umpires doing it, and the thing is, these guys like him are giving them bad names. Like in the Angels series, 95% of the calls were correct on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a pretty damn good rate. What I would do is I would install a CB Buckner rule, where as long as you're getting the challenge right, you get unlimited challenges. As long as you can, as long as you're getting overturned, you need to challenge 17 of his, go right ahead. You get to do it. All right, Tim, is it time for some good vibes?
I think if there needs to be a rule though, if there's so many of your pitches that are over challenged in a game or overturned in a game behind the plate, like you need to go back down to the minors, right? Like there should be consequence for that.
Oh, he'll be out of baseball by the end of the year.
Oh, for sure. I think the bad ones are going to be exposed.
I mean, I think they're going to Angel Hernandez him, where he's just going to quietly be retired, and nobody's going to be the wiser. But is it time for some positive vibes?
Yeah, we can tip a cap, Scott.
I think you're going to second this one, I'm sure. Although you may have I think you have your own hat tip.
I do, but you're supposed to give me props before you do your hat trip. That was the agreed upon trade, Scott.
So you got props because you called what was going to happen.
Thank you.
With the Lance McCullers outing, but I still got to give him a hat tip because that was and I compared it to Rocky 3 because I don't know if I've watched that fight over and over again. And what always, strikes me is that the second bout with Clubber Lang, that first round is like technically brilliant because Clubber Lang never lands a punch. Rocky hits him like 40 or 50 times. And you're just like, and they're like, who in the hell's this guy? We've never seen this guy before. And then all of a sudden Rocky gets hit in the second round. It's like, oh shit. But that was, and I think he's going to need it because he is going to get hit. Because all pitchers get hit, but he needed that success. And we needed that success because, yes, we were 2-2. But what kind of 2-2 were we, Tim? We were 2-2 where we were beating the Angels like, what was it, 9-7? Where, we were just leaking oil and pitchers were going only 4 or 5 innings and we're having to, throw in the peanut vendor guy at the end of the game just to find a way to get through the game. And you're walking in there and you're going up against another wild card contending team and you're thinking, oh God, if this is another 4-inning outing, our bullpen's going to be gassed after game 5. And that guy goes 7 strong innings. And you bring in Ryan Weiss, who looked much better than he did in his first outing. So, I mean, a great effort. And I've always said I did not predict success for LMJ, but I was definitely in his corner the whole time. You have to root for a guy like that. And that's the bottom line.
I've told my Lance McCullers Jr. story on this show before, so I'm not going to go down that road. But it is, I think, well documented that I'm a huge fan of Lance McCullers. I always root for Lance McCullers. I think sometimes that allows me to have had in the past clouded judgment with Lance. You and I think we're both realistic about Lance this year of coming into the season, and we did not have rose-colored glasses on. But going into that start, knowing the state that the bullpen was in, and knowing the kind of competitor that Lance is, that's classic Lance McCullers moment of, I'm going to carry my team a little bit here. And I think that was the added bump or adrenaline he needed to go out there and attack the zone the way he did. Obviously, he's talked about changing up the game plan, but he talked about, in that interview, he knew the team needed him to go deep. And you can't go deep nibbling, right? You can't pick your team up when you're having 20 pitch innings because you're trying to get guys to chase 12-6 bangers in the dirt. You got to fucking pound the zone. You got to get some early ground outs and counts. And to me, that was just vintage Lance of, hey, my team needs me to get him through 7 tonight. Okay, hop on, I got you. And to me, that's why I said, hey, Lance, I thought he went at least 5 strong was what I called. And he ended up giving you 7. So I appreciate you begrudgingly giving me my props there, Scott. But no, I agree with you. I'm happy to tip a cap to Lance anytime we can.
All right. I know you got somebody good.
I do, Scott. Shell, no longer the Shell, I'm sorry. The Houston Open was this past week at Memorial Golf Course. What I love about this tournament, Scott, Memorial Park Golf Course, is that this is a public golf course. I love PGA Tour events that play at public courses. I played HGA events at Memorial growing up. So love this event. Love that the Astros are so associated with this event. And I love that Jim Crane specifically saved this stop on the PGA Tour. The Shell pulled out. This stop was going to go away. And Jim Crane personally stepped in to make sure that not only did it have a place to play because it used to be out at Redstone, but he redid Memorial Park Golf Course to make it a better public course and be PGA Tour quality. So all that to be said, hat tip to Gary fucking Woodland. That man survived fucking brain cancer, Scott, and then having PTSD from obviously everything he dealt with from that brain cancer to fight his way back and win a PGA Tour tournament at what many people would consider, the cancer center of America, right? Like the number one treatment for a lot of cancers in America is in Houston. And what a statement it makes for a fucking brain cancer survivor to go out and to not only win a PGA Tour tournament, but to do it in Houston, Texas, home of the Red fucking Duke. Yeah, man, that's a really, really special moment for him. Special for a lot of people going through chemo, fighting their own fight. Can look at a guy like that and say, hey, if he made it back, I can too. I mean, I had a back and forth conversation with someone through Reddit who's like, hey, I'm sick as a dog on my couch after a chemo treatment, but God, I can't wait to get back and play golf again. Right. And if people can pull from that, and if they can, be inspired to finish their treatments and to finish their fight with cancer, what a wonderful moment for him, for his family, and again for everybody who's fighting cancer.
And I have to agree with you. I'm going to be going in the exact 180 degrees difference, and probably we might be doing a joint scumbag, but absolutely. I think I worked some of those HGA events that you played out there.
Did you have a kid who shot 80 on 9 holes because he didn't know a lot of the rules that were being assessed to him and accrued 27 penalty strokes on 9 holes? Because that would have been me, Scott. If you've seen the Soup Nazi, I had the scoring Nazi, and she followed me around that day and made sure I did not qualify for the HGA on my first attempt.
Ah, that's rough. But I will say that even back then, I loved Memorial as a course.
It's a shot shaper's paradise.
It's a nice course. And the thing is what it does, and what they were able to do is that it plays longer, which you have to in the tour these days. I mean, if you're not 7,500 yards, you have to be tricked up like Augusta in order to not have people shooting 61 and 62 out there. So they've done a great job with that course. They've done a great job making it a nice, stop on the tour. And I love how it's positioned, just a couple of weeks before the Masters, so you're going to get guys that are going to want to do a tune up. So you're going to get good players out there. And that guy beat some good players.
Yeah. You had Mingwei Lee, you had Jason Day, Sahith Theegala, Johnny Vajegas was there, Bo Hostler, Adam Scott, Sam Burns, Harrison English, Shane Lowry was there this week. Was it Rory? No, but it was a strong field, Scott. And he ends up winning that tournament by 5 strokes. He shot a 3 under par on Sunday when the next closest guy to him shot 1 under. So he found a way to maintain his nerves. Again, this is a guy who's dealt with PTSD. He's dealt with cancer. And before that, he's unbelievably huge in the special needs community. Does a lot for the Special Olympics, does a lot for those things. So just the tumor couldn't have happened to a better fucking guy, right? Like, it was, holy shit, he doesn't deserve this. Not that anyone does, but then to see him make it all the way back like that, if that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, I don't know that you have a heart, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
All right, Scott.
I think
Scumbag?
I think you're going to co-sign this one with me.
Neither of us mentioned this, but it just slipped my mind, and I don't know why. You have a great story like that in golf. Then you have the 180-degree difference. I'm going with Eldrick Tiger Woods. So I want you to guess, Tim, how much money would you say he's worth?
I mean, it starts with a B.
You think
probably two bill.
You think he's a billionaire?
Oh yeah. The Tiger Woods brand. I mean, he owns part of that TGL league. So he's got stake in that. He had stake in Nike for years that he made money off of that. He owns his own Sunday Red line. On top of all the sponsorship money and tour money that he made, there's no way he's not at a cool bill, if not 2.
All right. So, it's been a while since I Ubered, Tim. What do you suppose would be the cost to just have your own personal Uber driver?
I mean, I'd have to think you could get like a really, really good fucking driver, like wears gloves while he drives, good driver, maybe a hat while he does it, for $100K a year. Open the door for you, kind of more like a chauffeur than a driver, Scott, for $100K a year. I'd drive Tiger for $100K a year.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'd drive anybody for $100K a year. I mean, just about. Okay. There's a few exceptions, but why are we not doing it this you know, because I get it on some level. So just to get the facts out there for those of y'all that don't know, he did blow a zero after he flipped the car. So he was not drinking.
No, but he's addicted to painkillers.
However, he did refuse a piss test. And when he did that, they, and in conjunction with how he was appearing, they marked him in for DUI. And I am not going to judge anybody that's in pain. Okay, if you're in as much pain as he probably is in, I get that you're going to be on painkillers. I get it. And now let's forget the fact that he's the reason he's on painkiller. But let's forget about that fact. You know, people do stupid stuff and they go through physical things. Now, do you think that, you know, our hat tip in the previous one, do you think he was driving himself home after chemo?
I'm going to assume no. I'm going to assume his wife was with him taking him home, but Tiger is an addict and a liar and can't keep people close to him and constantly cheats on everybody, and has also said he can't have a driver for privacy concern reasons. So what the fuck are you doing that you can't have a driver sign an NDA and drive you around for 200 grand? Throw him an extra 100 grand to shut the fuck up. Hey, here's for driving and here's for keeping your fucking mouth shut.
I just saw a Galaxy commercial, you know, the Google phones that have a privacy mode where people next to you can't see what's on your phone. You know,
what happened to those things? What happened to the partitions that used to be able to put up?
Yeah.
Can you get one of those?
Yeah, but you know what pains me about this is that he's ruining his own legacy, because you know the thing is that he's the best golfer of your and my generation. I came into golf at the tail end of Jack. Like, I remember vividly the 86 Masters. And I was playing golf by then. I was playing golf when I was like 10 or 11 years old. So I remember Jack Nicklaus vividly, but Tiger Woods is the golfer that all of us remember. And what do we have left? Oh, he's great, but he's an asshole. That's no fun.
No. And this is the time when you're supposed to be an ambassador of the game, right? Like, we think about, like, to me, I never saw Prime Jack. I never saw Prime Arnie. I saw them as the guys who hit the first tee shot of the Masters, who were there to welcome you to things, who were coaching kids clinics, right? Like, Jack was huge in the junior golf game, hosting huge clinics for kids, hoping to grow the game, building facilities, building courses, doing all these things. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what you're not supposed to do is 85 and a fucking 30 ripping through a golf course neighborhood, then deciding the lawn care guy in front of you is going just too slow. So even though you pop 16 fucking Vicodin in the morning, we need to zip by that guy in your Range Rover. Like, Tiger has a need for speed. If you look at the location of all of the, like, these last two accidents, especially when we almost lost his leg, he's doing 80 and a 30. And the only reason he gets out of that one without a DUI is because it's in LA and he gets the fucking star treatment. So it doesn't happen here. And I also think, Scott, I think Tiger's on steroids. I think that's a big reason why he didn't want the blood test. Because last time, you know, hey, I mixed up my medication. I took my sleeping pills and this. I did, right. He got the public sentiment out of it. But what happens if it comes out that Tiger is on steroids right now? I think that in his mind destroys his legacy more than anything, because I think you and I both know some people are going to hold him to the fire for this. But like, let's also look at, like, from 2009 on, right? It comes out that you're having not only an affair, like massive amounts of affairs on your wife. Your wife fucking clocks you in the head with a goddamn fucking 9-iron. You back your car into a neighbor's property trying to evade this. Right. Like, everything, it's everywhere. But you know what? All we cared about was, when's Tiger going to play again? Hey, when's he coming back? Oh my God. Can you imagine how much better he would have been if he wasn't chasing coon, if he was just focusing on golf? Like, He was doing this while also trying to pick up chicks. Like the jokes were endless. No one gave a fuck. Then he has the incident in LA where he like nearly loses his leg. Then even before that, he gets pulled over for DUI with the sleeping pills, and people make shirts of it and wear them to tournaments and yell "Tiger," and it's not a big deal. Then he has the incident where he almost loses his leg, and now that like I think that aspect of him to the golf crowd, to golf bros is bulletproof. Like I really do think in that sense he's bulletproof to them. I think steroids would be like the only thing that would kill it. However, on the other side of things, as someone who lost an aunt and an uncle to drinking and driving, I think it's despicable. And I think it's had me lose a lot of respect for Tiger Woods as someone who preached making smart, sound decisions around the golf course, mitigating risk, all these other things. You're going to tell me your life is so fucking crazy that you can't have a driver for privacy reasons? What the fuck are you doing? And what makes it even worse, Scott, too, is that there were reports that he was back out there like trying to train and get ready to go for the Masters after the accident, and he only agrees to go to rehab after the public backlash. And so to me, that's just more PR. It's not like Tiger actually wants to go and get better, because the only way he's ever going to get off of painkillers is if he stops playing golf, right? Like how else do you play this game with the body that he has without fucking popping pills? Because I don't see a way to do it.
No, I don't either. So you got anybody, or are you just going to co-sign on that?
I do have someone, Scott. I mean, I definitely co-sign. I definitely co-sign on what you have there, but let me get back to. Oh, that's right. I'm so fucking sick of the Lance McCullers haters, Scott. Even after that amazing start on Sunday, some of the first comments in the Astros box score on Facebook. Oh, wait, he's going to be out tomorrow with can't wait to see him on the DL. Can we just stop? Lance has bled Houston orange since the moment we drafted this guy. He is a bury me in the H motherfucker. There is no reason, absolutely zero reason, that Lance McCullers is still getting hate, and especially after a start that this team desperately fucking needed. First time through the rotation, Lance McCullers was the best starter of the first 5 starts, and it's not even fucking arguable. And the first comments were all Lance McCullers going to be on the IL related, and I'm so fucking sick of it. Why can't we just enjoy what quite possibly could be Lance's last season as an Astro, and maybe even Lance's last professional year? We should be allowed to just enjoy that, because Lance has been nothing but a consummate professional and one of, quite frankly, the foundational pieces of this Astros dynasty.
So to extend this outward, Tim, The Athletic came up with a study. A percentage of a fan base's teams to feel optimistic about their team. Now, that was the only phrase.
I saw that.
Optimistic about your team. So let me introduce this to our listeners, since you know where this is going. So 59% of Astro fans are optimistic about their team. Now, does that sound like a healthy percentage?
No, to me, no.
Okay. Well, okay. So just to give y'all a little bit of context here, they are 24th in the rate of optimism. The Chicago White Sox fans are more optimistic than Astros fans. Now, how do you define optimism? Now, if you're a White Sox fan, maybe you can sit there and say, hey, I think our team is better this year than last year's team. Oh, okay. I guess if that you define optimism that way. But the only teams that were worse, now this is the saddest one, Tim. Do you know who was 29th and 30th on your optimism train? Did you catch that?
I can't remember.
Okay, the Angels are 29th. 5% of fans are optimistic.
That's fair. I'm sorry for them.
5%. And you know,
who are those 5?
Well, they're the ones that think Ohtani's still on the team. They're like casuals and like, man, Ohtani's going to be great this year.
Artie Moreno just voting over and over again, hitting refresh.
But number 30, the Minnesota Twins at 4%.
That's
fair.
rough.
That's rough. But so I'm just going to extend that outward. And I am about like, if you looked up realist in a dictionary, you'd probably see a picture of me, Tim. Because I mean, I think that's where I'm at. I think I'm a realist on just about everything. But I don't shit on the Astros nearly as much as a lot of people do. And a lot of people in their own fan base. Outsiders I get, but people in the own fan base, how are you shitting on a team April 1st?
After 7 innings of run baseball, he'll be on the IL. Like, come on, man. Like, I can't stand some of our fans. We really have, quite frankly, sometimes a pretty shitty fan base. Like, I love a lot of Astros fans, and I love, especially being in the DFW area, like seeing one of them in the wild, like give each other a nod, a little. But like in Houston, there's some fucking awful Astros fans, man.
All right, Tim. I'm just gonna do our normal disclaimer here. This is the part of the program where we deviate from sports and move on into the social political. So if that is not your bag, baby, then you are invited to go ahead and check on out of this proceeding. But if you enjoy this feature we've been doing the last couple of weeks, we're kind of switching things up here. Tim has found some quotes that we're going to compare to last week's champion. Do we want to go with last week's champion first, or do you want to save that for last, Tim?
I think let's give everybody a refresh. And let's kind of remind them what they're going up against, because also I think I had an unfair advantage with it being CPAC this week.
All right, so Kevin Hassett, who is been our champion the last 2 weeks, I think he's in charge of an economics council, something like that. He said, if the war were to be extended, it really wouldn't disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about that. But that's really the last of all of our concerns right now. Now, I want to push back against what is the economy interpretation of that, and I want to push the interpretation of we just don't give a shit about you. That's where I go with that quote.
Yep, it's pretty dark, pretty dark. So I'm gonna tweak this a little bit. I've got one guy who's got 3 great one-liners, so I'm gonna group those together, and then the rest will be separate. Okay, so this is just gonna be the Hot Wheels category. Okay.
Oh gosh.
At CPAC, he said the following things: there are now 0 illegal immigrants allowed to cross and remain. Keyword illegal. They've always been not allowed to come across, Greg, but now you can do it. It's now too, right? Fantastic. Texas is known for cowboys and capitalism. Okay, just remember that. Cowboys and capitalism. That's number 2 from Hot Wheels. And number 3, in reference to James Tallarico, however crazy he is, I can tell you his votes are even worse. So that's you and me, Scott, are those people that are somehow even worse than James Tallarico. And I will agree, I am a worse person than James Tallarico. I would walk right up to Greg Abbott and say, you're a cocksucking piece of shit, where James might have a little bit more tact in him. So I will give Greg that. Now, again, CPAC was up the hill in Grapevine this week, so it gives me plenty to work with. Carl Higbee, reacting to protests, wondered if there's a deport straight to North Korea button that should be installed in the White House. That one was absolutely fantastic. And Donald Trump said, we're the only country that's stupid enough to vote by mail. Obviously wrong, obviously stupid. And this one's great. A speaker at CPAC said, his name is Scott Straka. If you call yourself a patriot, but you believe that it is your obligation to only praise and only worship your president, then you must not be a patriot of this country. Get at speak at CPAC, even though that's exactly what they do. Yeah, Scott. Anything you need to hear again, or are you ready to vote?
The irony police. I think that one's the ironic statement. I think I am going to go just for a little bit of variety.
Actually, hang on. You got to strike that last one. That was making fun of the people there. My apologies.
Your governor and mine. I think I'm going.
That's pretty bad.
I think, because I think if Texas is known for anything, I think you would have
Cowboys and capitalism.
No, it's where the men are men and the sheep are nervous. I think is what
I would have felt we were known for not littering. If you would have asked me what's Texas known for, it was a strong anti-littering campaign.
The Texas Air Force flying behind you, behind the truck that just littered on the.
Don't mess with Texas, motherfucker. Don't do it.
But yeah, Greg Abbott is good, because I love the reason I'm voting for that one, Tim, is because I love all of these ads that come on, because Sports Radio 610 is really bad about playing them. Like they would run like the Republican primary ad, and it's like, he voted with Donald Trump 99% of the time. And it's like, good, he doesn't get my vote.
That's bad.
He's standing behind Trump, it's like, but I think the zero illegal immigrants, it's like, so you're willing to stand on that, huh? You're saying that nobody's getting in illegally. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Zero. Because
here's the funny thing, Tim, and I want you to help me out here. Which president in our recent history has deported the most people?
Actually, Obama.
It was Obama. So, all this performative bullshit, from our governor, God love him, because somebody's got to. It ain't me.
I called my state rep's office once. Like, there's a way you guys can deport people and still have due process. I'm like, the person who deported the most people in American history was Obama. They're like, I don't believe that. I'm like, that's great, whether you believe it or not, but like, it actually fucking happened, right? Like, you could not be a piece of shit about it, and you could not round people up in the streets, and you cannot have ICE documenting who's attending Marine graduation. We're not going to arrest you there, but we're going to take track of who came to visit.
Well, my favorite was the comedian who's on the Daily Show now, who was talking about ICE going out to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Noah something from some idiots, the good idiots or something like that.
Well, it's not Noah, Trevor Noah. It was one of the newer guys who's still on there.
I know who you're talking about.
I cannot believe the number of illegal immigrants who are getting tickets to the Super Bowl. Man, I've never been able to go to the Super Bowl. And here's this bugger going in the country, and all of a sudden they get to go to the Super Bowl. What the hell?
When you actually look at their claims on face value, they're so goddamn fucking asinine that I don't understand how people believe them. And that's when, like, you look at these comments from Greg Abbott that, like, however crazy he is, I can tell you his votes are even worse. What is crazy about James Tallarico, other than, like, the man says we should show compassion, we should let people be who they are, we should keep the Christianity in our churches and out of schools? Oh my God, oh my God!
You know what's radical, Tim? Is he quotes the Bible.
Jesus was a radical.
You don't get more radical than that.
And that's what's so frustrating. These are same people who go to CPAC are then sending me Pinterest images of donuts and donut holes being used for Easter breakfast. If he is risen, as we have a donut hole being moved in front of the hole of the fucking of the tomb of Jesus, right? Like, thank you for that. The he is risen donut hole. But we think James Tallarico is a radical. All right, Scott. Hot Wheels leads the way this week. Going to be tough to beat that next week. I'll leave that challenge to you.
All right, I will look up some good quotes. I think although I won't have CPAC to.
It was a little unfair, isn't it?
All right.
We got another slate of games. Astros off tomorrow. Then 6 more beautiful baseball games coming our way. Cannot wait to talk more Astros baseball with you next week, Scott. And we will find some time to talk some Rockets basketball. We appreciate everybody who joined us this week. We will see you next week on Born on the Bayou Sports.